Welcome back to the Charismatic Voice. I've analyzed over 40 songs by Dimash Kudaibergen, and today stands out to me as being a new direction. Dimash spent 3 years writing the music and story for this behemoth of a piece, and many of the reviews describe the visuals as being more of a short film than a music video. I have waited until now to give it a first-time listen, so let's get to it. Whoa. Oh. Okay. I just straight up front, I have to tell you all that ever since becoming a mother 7.5 months ago, it is really hard for me to see violence, especially anything that has to do with children dying. It hits me super hard. I have stopped watching multiple TV series because I just can't handle them right now. And it's a little intense. It's a little crazy, honestly. I never expected it to affect me this way. So seeing this kid drowning at first, I felt like my heart stopped. I think this is going to affect me much more than it did before I gave birth. And honestly, giving birth has just opened up my eyes to a whole new depth of emotion. I thought I felt a lot before, but oh my gosh, I feel a lot now. I'm going to go back to the beginning. Oh, it's so interesting, the sound and the way they've used it. That super low boom is definitely something that's associated with depths of water or explosions as well. And it's interesting, they've got like some sort of distortion on a sound that almost sounds like bubbles or being underwater. That's a really interesting filter. And then that boom is also something you associate with text and videos and trailers. Repeating the exact same sound but adding a layer here. Again, there's a filter on it. I think it's either a high or low pass. I don't remember which one that specifically gives you an underwater sound. So it was when the word requiem popped up, which is something that you do for somebody who's dead or in response to death. When I saw that pop up right after a kid gets pulled out of the water, my heart and breathing stopped immediately. I'm just thinking, oh my goodness, please, please, please. And then I related so much to the girl in this because of the way she let out this breath once his hand started to move. And that high pitch is like tinnitus, which is really similar to you can hear that sometimes if your ears are plugged with water. Really interesting sound design. Gosh. I'm so happy this kid knows CPR. Yeah. Oh my gosh, her breathing is the same as mine. just want to point out a few things in here about how the sound is mixed in. Wherever the microphone is, it's picking this up. It picked up the boom of this opening. They might have actually enhanced that sound. So in the mix, we're getting a lot of ocean, a lot of seagulls, and then this boom of the chest opening feels like a very important moment, I think, because we might have gotten some additional, I would say, sort of enhancements of that sound. Right? They've added some bass, I think, to that. Or just made it extremely crunchy at the same time. It's very, very detailed, clear sounds.
Can't believe what's happening at all. Eyeballs crazy, we want to fall. We are the reason we're causing all that pain. To the secret one that gives us life.
Wow. One of the things that I think is unique and so special about Dimash's voice is the way he blurs the line between air turning into phonation. As you start to sing, in order to create a pitch, your vocal folds, these sort of like two ligaments in your throat, right around here, in order to create a pitch, they have to start combining together. They do this, they go wacka, wacka, wacka. And when that starts to oscillate, meaning that it does it at a repetitive frequency, we get pitch. And that's because physically, those vocal folds are dividing the air into little portions, which then come to our ears, and our eardrums pick up that sort of repetitiveness in the sound and perceive it as a pitch. If it does it 440 times per second, that is concert A. Now, there's this moment where phonation is achieved when that regular oscillation starts to occur. And there's like a fuzz that happens between that of the airflow, and then it turns into pitch. And Dimash really explores the edge of where it's air and where it's pitch. You hear this in the very, very first sound that he makes. Let's go back to it and listen to it. Is it here? No, it's a bit further back. Here?
Can't believe what's happening at all.
Do you hear how we have just air sometimes and then there's pitch that comes in? And it's so soft. Another thing that's really interesting is that if you build up a little more pressure, you're more likely to go into that pitch right away. He's really playing with the softness of it and seeing how soft he can be to have just the teensiest bit of pitch happen.
Can't believe what's happening at all.
Oh my gosh. If I can get a hold of an isolated vocal of this moment, I will show it to y'all in RX and a spectrogram at some point, because it would be so cool to show you how much of that is air and when the actual phonation occurs. It's really, truly special.
Can't believe what's happening at all. Eyeballs crazy, we want to fall. We are the reason we're causing all that pain. To the secret one that gives us life. Billions of
And here's this mix of sort of two styles that he does really well too. I hear that classical influence definitely in the vibrato. He has such a beautiful regular vibrato. Um, it's gorgeous. I think he's got one of the most perfect vibratos out there. And then he does this little creak at the end of this last phrase that is very contemporary in style. I'll go back to that creaky moment.
To the secret one that gave us life.
Right there.
Billions of hearts, billions of cells and souls and dreams.
There's that creak again.
Billions of lives shouldn't ever turn to senseless horror, so disembarked.
I love the sharing and friendship between them. It's so sweet. It's so wonderful. And I love the way that Dimash's voice has continued to really incrementally grow. So you're hearing less of just the air, right? That softness and the soft approach to phonation, and you're starting to hear a more direct phonation. Oh, so sweet.
As a ruler, my task is to keep order and protect my country. But I don't deprive you of your freedom. The world is open for me, and I want to give it to you.
Can we balance all that of your regret? Our future, is it possible to say?
This is tough. This is really, really tough. I'm gonna go back, but it's entirely possible I'll be a little more quiet than usual, just because, like I mentioned before, like this kind of imagery really disturbs me now. I value human life so much, and it's just like anytime I see this now, it's hard to not imagine what that would be like as a mother to have your son in that situation. It kills me, just racks me inside. So we're gonna go back a little bit.
As a ruler, my task is to keep order and protect my country. But I don't deprive you of your freedom. The world is open for me, and I want to give it to you.
The sound design wise of this, the way it builds up high, and there's even, it sounds like a gong. Is that a gong or a cymbal that's happening? And does an overflow splash to let the sound clear and bring, honestly, a certain amount of dread when you hear this. Sounds like a dictator kind of speech.
As a ruler, my task is to keep order and protect my country. But I don't deprive you of your freedom. The world is open for me, and I want to give it to you.
The world is not given through violence.
Can we balance all that of your regret? Our future, is it possible to say? So when all the crazy Bibles falling, we decide to stop the draining. We decide to follow their light.
I love the way that vocally, expressively, he's taken the voice, and when he brought it up to the higher point at this point, he thinned out the sound. It ends up having a little more plea to it in a lot of ways. And there's also a certain innocence in the sound, it brings in a little more childishness, I think, to it. It's really beautiful. There's where it thins out. And listen to the way that the thinned out, more lean sound, when he adds a little more air to it, it feels like it expands a little bit. It doesn't get really weighty, but it still expands. Right, this is very much here. And then it gets kind of a pillow around it.
You must be strong to accept freedom and bring it to the world. United, we will enter every city, every house. We will lead everyone who is ready to start a new life. Anyone who resists will not find a place next to us. War is the way to unite people.
I think it can be really tough sometimes to have a channel where we're committed to not being political. But I can tell you I'm committed to supporting life, to supporting people in expression, and to creating more vibrance in life. So I think you can probably guess from that I really don't want people's lives to be cut shorter. So hard sometimes to not make political statements, but I do think that it's extremely important to unite instead of divide. And I believe that the message that Dimash is trying to bring across in this song is to unite together. And I don't think that war is often a uniting kind of thing. I think that he's trying to make that point here as well. Wow. Man, this is so much more personally hitting than I expected it to be. I didn't think I would walk in today struggling to hold back tears and to keep my heart from just overflowing in total blubber. Listen to the thickness in his sound now. I think this is a really good indication of when that sound is more classical in nature. There's more space that's in the vocal tract at this point, and we're able to get just some darker, warmer, rounder sounds overall that a person is more likely to associate with the operatic side of vocal production versus that really narrow, lean sound that we heard earlier. That would be more of the contemporary side of vocal production. Also, really interesting instrument in here. I think that might be a native one from Kazakhstan. I'm not entirely sure. And I love the way that he does little ornamentations here and there. They have such folk flavor to them while having also contemporary elements at times. It's just an incredible blend of styles. It's a very thick sound here. That woodwind that is with him is such a beautiful combination with his voice. They have these underlying things in common. the vibrato rate is one of them. Okay, so from this, I'm gathering that two of the kids probably got married. It looks like they have another kid too. That's super sweet, and they've kept those throughout life. Oh man, lifelong friendships are so precious, and whether they evolve into this kind of relationship or just stay friendships, it's just such a beautiful thing. What an interesting combination, again, of the styles. I feel that he's taken up a thicker sound, but then started to narrow it and give this little cry, which is going to feel a lot more contemporary. And the way he holds out Earth without vibrato at first, that also is going to feel more contemporary. But the fullness in the sound, again, that way it's bringing in some of that dark, he's doing more of a balanced sound there. Man, I love the extra buzz that starts happening when he goes to that higher earth. There's just an overtone that starts, I think, to flash like crazy, become brighter, become louder. When that vibrato especially sets in, it's like, it's ringy, 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 ringy. Yeah. I'm so sorry. It's actually so hard to actually focus on the vocal performance when I have this kind of imagery in front of me. I feel like I owe it to all of you to really analyze the voice and the music and talk about what's going on. And in this situation, I feel emotionally overwhelmed and almost like I'm fighting to be steady enough in my emotions to allow them to think about the singing and process that instead of some of the visuals. I'm going to go back a little bit and try to just really listen to those vocals. Wow, I have to hand it to the team. This is incredible movie production. I get this definitely feels like more of a short film and a story that's happening, and it's extremely effective. Like, if the purpose is to move somebody to feel the horrors of war, you achieved that really, really, really well. I'm going to go back and we'll talk a little bit about some of the things I hear in the voice and the music. There's that really ringy part. it's really clear to me here that they've mixed the sound effects from the video a little bit higher, and that brings more focus to the music video. I'd be really curious to see this live and have more focus on the voice and have the video playing in the background, because I think the video is essential for this emotional journey. It has such a huge impact. Part of me would like to, just watch Dimash sing it, because he's such a fantastic singer. But I think it makes absolute sense for this case, for the video where we're at, to mix it higher like they've done. This little run that he does down at the end there, it's one of the ways he adds that flair of some of his background, of some of that native influence. I really love the way he weaves that in at times. It feels like he's authentically been able to maintain his roots while expanding his career in multiple different directions. One more time on that. Oh, cool call off there. Oh my gosh, what a beautifully expressive line there. I don't even know what vowel he's singing. It sounds almost like a primal expression of loss. Oh, wow. Whoa, cool vibrato there. I want to listen to this one more time. Whoa. Yeah. The vibrato in there that he uses there's a very ethnic moment where he does more of a bleeding vibrato, and I actually hear him combining these two different kinds of vibratos, which is fascinating to me. You just don't hear that very much. Jeff Buckley played around a lot with his vibrato and pulling in different styles of vibrato as well. That's really interesting. If you haven't seen the Jeff Buckley analysis video on the singing hole, definitely go check that out. It's really, really impressive to me to hear this weaving of different styles, and especially different styles of vibrato. That is very rare. Wow. Wow. Okay, so much emotion at that picture. And so much excitement, on the other hand, at hearing that bleeding vibrato coming through really clearly. I just had started to hear him mix that in the last stop. And then in this section, he really let some of that bleeding vibrato take over. It's where you hear it Ironically, sometimes it's called a machine gun vibrato, so it hits over and over essentially. And it's like a reattacking of the note instead of vertical bobbing, where the kind of vibrato that we're most frequently going to hear in Western culture, it has to do with the larynx actually going up and down, going versus bleeding or machine gun vibrato is reattacking, reinitiating of that phonation. So interesting too, the way he creates more of this ethnic call sound. It is a thicker sound of the voice, so you would bring in some of that thickness and warmth that you have from operatic kind of singing as well, but seeing it totally straight toned when you're holding out a note, which he does that a lot, and have a lot less vibrato versus maybe belting in contemporary music. You would have a leaner sound that again would have more straightness to it. We're going to go back a little bit. Wow. Man, this is so much harder to get through than I thought it would be. Go back a little more. A little more. That's purposely breaking the voice, bringing in another register before changing. Such amazing vibrato control. That's bleeding. Yeah. Wow, the loss is so hard to handle here. There's so many incredible sounds that they have musically put in. I have a lot of admiration for the transition I'm hearing. I feel like we're moving into a new chapter of this story. The jaw harp is really interesting to hear in there. And definitely right at this moment where I stopped, it sounded like we had some false fold action coming in as well, which is very interesting. And then some sort of droning as well. I'm going to bring it back a little bit, talk about some of the moments. Oh, it looked like we're having some sort of labor moment as well with the woman, and I heard that it sounds like it's mixed in with having some sort of labor cries. Oh man, that's tough. That's tough times. Oh, interesting. There's even like some sort of sound in the background that mimics a heartbeat. Right when we see him. This is really thoughtfully composed. It's beautiful acting too. Right, there is a lot of false fold action. Huh, that's interesting. It sounds like he's using the false folds to extend that lower range, which is absolutely possible to do. That's how you reach a lot of those extra low notes that you hear in Tuvan throat singing. Subharmonics are reached through using false folds in a combination with true folds. And if you want to learn some more about that, we did a really interesting video about bat vocalizations recently and how bats actually use that same those same false folds to reach lower pitches. It's kind of crazy, just insane. So right here at this moment, that super low sound, I believe he's using false folds to create it. Yeah, that's cool. Oh, the parallel scream there. I think it's amazing that he doesn't try to put words into that moment. I feel like you can only express that kind of pain through primal sounds, through it can be expressed through singing, but words can't possibly express that pain anymore. It just has to be vowels and screams. Let's keep going. Listen to the difference in the timbre of the sound he has here versus earlier when he was just vocalizing on a vowel as well. He's got a few similarities in the pitch choices, but the timbre here is just much lighter. I would talk about the thickness of the vocal folds in relationship to the timbre of his voice or the color of his voice and how that's affecting it. If you have thicker vocal folds, so a lot of times I talk about the vocal folds going wacka, wacka, wacka. That's sort of from the back part to here, the vocal folds connect here. Actually, I have a larynx. I'll show you. So down in there, this is your larynx. This is a very, very big model of your larynx. And if you look down here, this is your vocal folds. And there are times when they open, and you see that, and essentially they close. And that's just how fast you can see the opening and closing from the top down. And that's how you look at it when you put a camera down somebody's throat. It goes up the nose often and down, or there's one that just goes straight back and looks down. The side view of the folds, this is where we talk about the thickness. And so when the vocal folds, if you look at them this way, there are times when they are thicker and there's times when they're thinner. And when they're thicker, you tend to have a heavier sound. And when it's thinner, it tends to be a lighter sound. And that has a lot to do with engagement from TA and CT, so thyroretinoid and cricothyroids, and different muscles essentially pulling to cause thicker or thinner closure. In this moment here, there's a lot thinner closure. It's a lighter sound, and we would often describe that as shifting into a higher register, maybe a little more mixed or head voice. See, it's a little lighter, a little fluffier. It's also letting more air through, thinner. Gosh. I think a lot of people, if they're just listening to this song, when they heard this part that goes up higher, they would think that might be a different singer, but it's not. That's still Dimash. He's so incredibly good at singing very high. If he wanted to be one of the leading countertenors in operatic repertoire, he could. hands down. I know he was offered a position at one point with an opera company as a countertenor, and he just decided to go in a different direction, and all respect to him, right? I also decided to go in a different direction with my career and not continue to pursue opera full time. And the way he goes up top here and still has a lot of that thicker sound in his vocal folds is fascinating. Singing this high, he's in his falsetto, but often when we get thicker sound in falsetto like this, where it feels very full and not just kind of angelic, ethereal whooshing, when it has that extra thickness in it, in the falsetto, we'll often call that reinforced falsetto. It's really, really beautiful and very rare to hear a guy be able to sing like this. So pretty. It also has so much mourning in it. Wow. Oh! No way. Is he the other kid grown up? Holy cow. I didn't. Whoa. I totally did not expect that. Wow. That's a gut punch. I wonder if he was the one that was saved. I wasn't tracking well enough. If he was the one that was saved or the one that did the saving. Oh, man. Oh. Yikes. The music swell here is incredible. And also super incredible is the way that Dimash is belting here. Like we're not in falsetto at this point. This is belting, but it is so gathered and so well produced. His vocal folds are like the most incredible example of cleanly produced belting this high. It's great technique. And that's the leaner sound, more contemporary. You know, I still hear a little bit of, like, there's a little thickness in the sound there, but not too much. There's a little bit. And that tells me that he's got that classical background. And by hearing that, I would say, that person started more on the classical side rather than the contemporary as far as their beginnings, and then went that way rather than the other path of crossing. Oh man, the goosebumps, the like tear ducts. Holy crap. And it's so interesting to me that this happens at the moment where we hear distortion in his voice. And I feel really impressed that he's gone to this extra length of adding distortion at the most desperate moments too. Wow. It doesn't need to be a pretty sound anymore. This should be a desperate, ugly kind of sound at this point. We're choosing life. We're choosing life. Wow. Oh my gosh. Wow. The way he goes from distortion and goes up higher here and goes clean. Oh, that is incredible technique, but it's also just so, it pulls my heart. That tells you he's got so much control over how much distortion he's adding to. He also flipped registers in there. Oh. It's like an alternate timeline, I think. Or ghost. Huh. This is very reminiscent of the beginning in the way that they had the birds mixed in fairly high into the sound. We love this. Dialogue, understanding, and the widespread promotion of a culture of tolerance, acceptance of others, and of living together peacefully would contribute significantly to reducing many economic, social, political, and environmental problems that weigh so heavily on a large part of humanity. Oh my goodness, that's beautiful. That's like, I feel that that is so representative of what I want to share on this channel too. That acceptance of others, living together peacefully, having more vibrance in life, enjoying music together. That's really beautifully said. I love the widespread representation that we have on the channel from so many different parts of the globe. And I think you guys know that because we have our map with the pins from where people come from. I would love to add more pins to that. Let's just have a huge global community here together, enjoying community in music. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Oh, this is so, so beautifully written. Thank you. This video is so beautifully done. It's an incredible performance by Dimash. Yes, his vocals are out of this world. I love the way he uses so many different techniques and blends them together, and then really tops it off with this distorted, ugly sound at the end. He's willing and daring to go there. That's incredible. And the story told throughout is incredible, that ends in this convicted message, which is, I feel, a wonderful, wonderful message to spread. And I feel extremely impressed by the direction that this movie is taking his career. It's amazing and so well worth our time and his time. I hope that many of you will go and watch this video on his channel, and please share this video with other people as well. If you would like to see some of those first Dimash reactions and analyses that I did, there's an entire playlist here. You can go down this rabbit hole for hours, for days even. And I hope that you fall more in love with music every day.